No, I don't think so.
They're not like the most manly, deep voices, but I don't think we've got like particularly high pitch voices. I think we're probably banging the kind of medium timbre.
Well, I don't know about you, but when I'm enjoying the Scrambled Checksum podcast with a
I like
fine
to
cigar,
crank up the bass on my EQ.
this episode sponsored by Lucky Strike.
Was that a gambling site or something?
No, it's a cigarette brand.
Is it? Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah,
you're
we'll
allowed to
take
be-
sponsors from anyone. Crypto,
I don't think
cigarettes,
you're allowed to be
alcohol.
sponsored by them anymore.
we'll be sponsored by anyone. Hello and welcome to the Scrambled Checksum podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kieran, a guy who this week got incredibly intimidated by a video I saw of a robot carefully folding a t-shirt. Thankfully though, my good friend Ethan here is going to save me from a future of poverty by employing me at his startup. Ethan, how are you doing?
I'm fantastic. Thank you, Kieran, and welcome to the team.
Thank you very much. Now, are you also intimidated by videos of robots carefully doing things like washing cups and folding t-shirts? Or
Yeah.
do you feel...
Yeah, I mean, what's my mum gonna do if the robots take over?
Oh, Ethan, by the way, does not believe in historic gender norms. Ethan is not a guy straight out of the 1950s who genuinely believes that.
Yeah, totally.
Allegedly.
Awkward,
That
Straight
awkward
into the
moment where you accidentally cancel your co-host.
straight into the controversy.
Yep. Cancelled within 1 minute. So Ethan, you're going to save me from a future... Like, I guess at least when the robots replace me, because I work at a desk job, at least I'll be, like, sitting down when they come, they come in. And at least I'm kind of ready for it. Like, I've come to terms with it.
How do you think they'll? How do they think they'll break the news to you? Do you think they'll break it to you verbally or kinetically?
I think it'll be like, oh, hey, here's K-Bot. He's going to sit next to you and help you. And, he'll be scarily agreeable. And then eventually there'll come a day where I'll walk in and K-Bot will be sat in my chair. And he'll be like, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't hear the news? Our corporate policy has changed and humans are no longer required. I'm sorry. And then then if I try and go like, no, this can't be happening, then it would be like that really, when you go on a live chat with a tech company and they're painfully polite but they don't help you at all.
Yeah.
It'll just be I'm so sorry. That's a great point. I'm just very sorry that I'm unable to help you with that query. May I perhaps escort you to the exit?
Yeah, good. May I please
Have a wonderful day. Now, will you please rate my service between 1 and 10? That's...
From the building.
Yeah, exactly that.
You have
Except
no position here.
But then it'll be like that really cheerful, like, have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day, sir.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be very painfully polite. But yeah, at least I've come to terms with it. That's the most important thing. Whereas, I guess if I worked a manual job, I'd maybe have been feeling a bit safer until I saw the robot washing a cup or folding a t-shirt. But you're going to save me with your startup, right? With this, you've got a janky...
self-driving cars are coming a long way now as well. Like they can even run over cyclists just like humans. So they're getting there.
Until they can drive under the influence.
Yeah.
They'll never truly replace
Yeah.
a human driver. But yeah, you've got a secret project that you haven't told me anything about up until putting it on our topics list.
Yeah, but I totally have told you about it, and I just put it as secret project to be mysterious.
Well, it's gonna save me, right? Because it's gonna make us.
I think we may have even spoken about it last week.
But it's gonna make us all the Dogecoin, and then we'll be able to retire wealthily.
Is Dogecoin even still a thing? I mean,
I forget if that was one that lost all its value or if that one's coming back.
I think they all lost all their value, didn't they?
Well, then some of them are coming back. I don't know.
Dogecoin was the one that wasn't that the one that a certain Mr. Smell was pushing.
I think so.
I'm trying to think of what's it? I can't even remember the word. What's the word for when it's a word that means the same thing as another word, like a
synonym.
synonym? Yeah, I'm trying to think of
Yeah.
a synonym for Elon.
Oh, yeah, there isn't one really, is there?
Yeah, Elon.
You have to call him like pylon.
Pylon smell.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. And then I don't know. Someone about people bought Lambo. I guess it would have been Tesla's.
Yeah, Tesla has a load of Bitcoin apparently still.
Is that from people who bought the cars with the Bitcoin, or from them just buying the Bitcoin?
No, they just bought a load of Bitcoin because people can't. They were going to let people buy the cars with Bitcoin, but then they realised that Bitcoin fundamentally cannot handle enough transactions for it.
And
to
the
be
price
practical.
is too volatile, right? So it's like
Yeah.
someone would buy the car with Bitcoin, and then by the time the transaction
Can't be any
cleared,
more
it would-
volatile than buying buying Tesla in any other currency. You're really dabbling with you buy a car for 60 grand next week. It might be the brand new worth 50 grand the following week, or it might be worth 70 grand. They change the prices all the fucking time.
But on the plus side, at least when you buy it with real money, like the payment goes through immediately.
Sorry, what
rather
did you just say? Real money?
When you buy it with...
Sorry, are you a crypto doubter, Kieran?
Oh my god,
It's
yeah,
the- it's
I'm
the
spreading
future.
FUD.
You're
I'm
spreading
FUD.
FUD about crypto here. Like, how dare
Oh
you?
god.
How dare
Yeah, it's
you?
going to go to the moon. But when you buy it with
I'm gonna go and rage X about you on the interwebs.
Oh no, don't X on me, bro. But anyway, you've got a project.
I'm gonna get
that's
so
gonna
many
make us-
re-X's.
It's gonna get us re-X'd. It's
I'm
gonna get us
I'm gonna re-X all over the place.
up-X'd. It's gonna get us up-X'd.
Up-X'd, down-X'd, oh Jesus. Anyway,
Block-X'd.
Yeah, so
Cancel-X'd.
yeah, my project that has nothing to do with X. So basically, okay, here's the scenario. So I, as I've mentioned before, have a home server, which
Yes.
is currently running Windows 11 Pro.
Which is currently overheating. No, it's not
It's
really.
actually not. It's actually sitting
No.
over in the corner over there, being way quieter than my desktop because
Yeah, exactly. No. It's
Yeah.
been upgraded.
yeah, it's a nice little machine. Anyway, it's also not little at all. It's quite big, but that's besides the point. Yeah, it's running Windows 11. And
My large server over in the
my
corner
big
there.
server. Yeah, so
Don't know if you've noticed in the corner there
yeah,
where my
did I
bed
mention
would
I've
be.
got my own server? I set it up
Yeah.
and built it myself. It's
Did I
very,
mention?
it's very
I sleep,
fabulous.
I sleep in a tent in the garden, but
I've
my
got-
server takes pride of place.
Oh,
Don't know if you
yes.
noticed it. Got my own server.
Yes, I clean it more often than myself.
Host my own microservices on it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, it's currently running Windows 11 Pro,
Yeah.
and basically, its main role at the moment is just storing files. It's a NAS, but it's also a media server, so it's got a load of ripped Blu-rays and DVDs on it. A mixture of my own collection and my family's collection. I currently live with my parents because, economics and stuff.
Also, you need somewhere, a house big enough to host all that server.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's at least as big as an IBM mainframe, so you know.
Yeah, don't know if you mentioned it, but yeah, you do have your own server, of course. So.
Yeah, I've got my very own server. Yeah, just in case.
It's got and
anyone's
those,
wondering.
just to mention as well, those DVDs are not pirated; they are owned
Yeah.
Blu-rays.
Yeah. I bought the Blu-ray. Yeah, like actually, legitimately, like for realsies.
Yeah, they're not. You've not just downloaded those. This isn't like oh yeah.
No, like
The-
for
the-
actually for real, like
Yeah.
for real.
Don't know if you noticed, got my own physical media collection over there in the corner.
It is literally it's right behind me as I speak.
Yeah, right.
I've got two massive like IKEA mesh drawers, like full of DVDs and Blu-rays and CDs. So
Nice. So, you know, where I'd have my wardrobe with all my clothes in, you may have noticed I've actually got an extensive collection of
it's funny you should say that
physical
those
media.
drawers did actually used to be my clothes drawers, but they've been repurposed for a more important.
Ethan sold his clothes to buy Blu-rays.
Not that any of my clothes are worth particularly large amounts of money, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, I wouldn't even know if they were. I mean, potentially some of them are. I wouldn't know or care. But anyway,
Yes, physical media collection. You go home server.
Pulling us back onto the the topic
Yeah.
at hand. So I am, well, hopefully, going to be moving out of my parents' house once again in the not too distant future. But this leaves me with a bit of dilemma.
Move into a data center.
Why not?
It's the most logical explanation.
Yeah. I heard the Meta and Apple might be pulling out of the UK market due to some controversial legislation that the British government wants to bring in. So maybe I'll just buy one of their data centers off them.
Well,
real
just like
cheaps.
buy a. Do you think this is a really stupid question? Because obviously you couldn't. But do you think if you like went to a data center provider that let you rent out just rack space, you like ones that are designed for you to put your own like servers in? You rent the rack space. If you rented out like a whole server rack space, but then instead of like putting in servers, you put in like yourself. You just turned up one day and you're like, oh yeah, I'm not putting any servers in there.
I mean, unfortunately, there are laws against that. I think
Well, yeah.
that kind of thing is why the like zoning laws and stuff like the difference between a commercial and a residential building. and
Well,
all
yeah,
that
it would
stuff,
never
like,
actually work. But
it's actually
how-
is illegal for you to take residence in a commercial building.
what size do you think you would take up? Do you think you'd be like what, like a 20U?
So one U is what, something probably like 4 centimeters.
Yeah, something like that. Not very big.
So okay, hang on.
Assuming you stood up all the time, this is.
Yeah. So
Obviously, if you wanted to lie down, you might need a few. You might need to rent like a few racks next to each other for like the
I'd
horizontal
be
space.
I'd be about 44U.
Yes, you're like, hey, I want to rent out 44U of rack space.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be just stood on top of someone else's server. Just like...
Yeah, can you imagine? They're like, okay, yeah, you're on top of this this box just here.
Be nice and toasty.
Yeah,
Might-
exactly.
Might
Like,
need to get some earplugs.
temperature controlled, loud. You could put your own server in there.
It'd be just like living in the city.
Yeah, not that your server is designed to fit in a rack, but
Oh no, it's not in a rack mount case. Although I've been looking at it. I would like to get a sec. I've been looking on eBay to see if I can get any good deals on a rack and a rack mount case. I would like to rack mount it.
oh, dude, that would be sick. So that's the kind of thing that like a company would be getting rid of and like
Yeah.
wouldn't be bothered about how much they got for it because they've already like amortized all the costs. So it's
Yeah.
like we just want rid of this. Just get rid.
Yeah. I think
And then-
I'm on the prowl for a little one.
Nice, sweet. So when I assume that you're not actually moving out to live in a web hosting company, right?
No, totally not.
Yeah.
No.
For any legal reasons, you obviously
Yeah.
aren't.
Yeah, no. So basically, okay, the dilemma that I find myself in is obviously my media server is not just serving me; it is serving my family because I ripped all their DVDs for them so that they could stream them to their TV and stuff. Well, there are you. First of all, you can set it up so that you can access the. I use Jellyfin. You can set it up so they could access Jellyfin over a VPN or just using port forwarding, which you probably totally shouldn't do.
No, whatever. Just forward them all.
Yeah, just forward all the ports as we discussed the other
Who's
week.
going to know? It's security to security. Just don't tell anyone.
Yeah.
No one will find it.
Yeah, but VPN. But I don't really want to do that because bandwidth and stuff. If they're like streaming a Blu-ray across at full quality across the internet, it will like eat up my entire upload bandwidth, and I'd rather that not be a thing. So also, right. So basically, what I'm gonna need to do is probably build another server to host a copy of my Jellyfin instance locally for them.
And you're going to pay for it by charging them a monthly subscription fee to access their own content they used to enjoy for free.
Yeah, and I'm going to put ads in it, I think, just as well. Just,
Well,
but
wait till the-
limited ads.
Wait till they've gotten used to the no ads tier.
Yeah, and then
increase
turn
the
it
price to such a level.
but add a new tier with limited ads.
Yeah, limited ads.
Yeah.
And then increase the price of that, and then add another tier with even more ads.
Aren't all ads technically limited?
Well, yeah, because they don't go on forever,
Because
right?
they're not infinite. So
Yeah,
technically,
even-
technically like you could have like 99% of the airtime taken up by ads, and technically it'd still be limited, right?
I think that's basically what Sky do with their football channel.
Yeah, because I mean, even during the actual football, there's a load of ads like on screen, like on the banners.
Yeah,
and stuff,
literally.
isn't
It's
there?
like there's ads on the hoarding, there's ads in between.
Yeah.
And they're long ad breaks.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Like, you want
fuck
to see
Sky.
gambling ads.
Fuck
You want to see
Sky.
gambling ads. You go and watch.
I hate Sky with a passion because they're the reason
Yeah, they're gross.
I can't watch F1 in the UK.
Yep. You can watch the ads for F1 though.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think even if you had a Sky package, you're really watching F1. You're watching the adverts.
Yeah. Pretty much.
F1 is definitely not limited ads either. The friggin' drivers are ads.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the cars and everything.
In-car camera's got an ad. Halo's got an ad.
Yeah.
Tracks have got ads.
Yeah, yeah, even like every single different graphic that comes up on the screen is sponsored by
Yeah,
AWS
like
or something. It's like,
powers.
did they design this graphic? Did they? I don't think so. I'm pretty sure they were all designed by the same person. And
I like the fact that Rolex sponsors the timing. It's like, dude, it's a digital timer.
yeah, no, it's not, Kieran. They've got an analog mechanism.
They've got someone with a Submariner that they just press the button.
But they've got a camera, and then it's being analysed by computer vision.
Powered by AWS.
Yeah, hosted by AWS and running some form of Microsoft GPT fucking model.
At least the
don't know.
person that operates it can't get drunk because they're all sponsored by the 0% alcohol beers.
Oh yeah, because you don't drink drive.
No.
But you
So
might have a nice can of Red Bull though,
Oh yeah.
depending on what team you play for.
Yeah, while you're browsing the stats on all the drivers on.
I wonder if all
Chrome.
the other teams' drivers are like. I wonder if they're all like banned from specifically drinking Red Bull. Like they can have any other energy drink, but not Red Bull.
Well, I want to know like what would happen if Max drank like a can of Coke.
I don't know whether that would matter because it's not an energy drink, is it? Coke.
Okay, what if he drank a can of Monster?
I feel like all hell would break loose.
Oh, like can you imagine if like Lewis Hamilton, like and then Max, like there was a photo shoot where like Lewis was drinking a can of Red Bull and Max was drinking a can of Monster.
Controversy.
That's the real F1 content. We're not going to get any entertaining racing this year. We may as well.
I wonder how much we'd have to pay them to do that.
It'll be in the tens of millions, surely, right?
Yeah.
Like, how much would you have to pay Lando to use Microsoft Edge?
Oh, are they sponsored? McLaren sponsored by Chrome.
Yeah.
That makes
It's like,
sense.
can you imagine it? Because that's the kind of thing where, like, the team's sponsored by Chrome, but the drivers wouldn't necessarily be bothered about that. So you'd have, like, I don't know, one of them using, like, Firefox.
Do you think he has Chrome for iPhone installed?
Exactly, does he? That's
doubt
the
it.
questions.
I
That's
very
what I
much
would
doubt
ask during if I was doing the grid walk. I'd be like, hey, Lando, show us your phone. What browser do you use?
Yeah, like Mercedes was. I don't know if they still are. They were sponsored by TeamViewer.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Oh,
Yeah.
so hey, you guys,
So you remoted onto. It looks like you remoted onto a computer there, Toto.
Hey, Toto, yeah, what
Look, but it looks awfully like you're using using RDS to remote onto that, or no, what are they called? The people who make LastPass and Log Me In. Looks like
Yeah.
you're using Log Me In Watch or whatever the hell it's called. the remote thing.
yeah, log me in 123 or whatever. I think it used to be called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to do that. That'd be what I do during like a grid walk. I'd never like obviously. No one would find it interesting.
We'd be even more popular than Martin Brundle with his
Exactly.
grid walk. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, can you imagine like the fun you'd have with that? With like, especially with the sponsors that aren't like obvious. Obviously, they'd use like Petronas and like Shell.
Yeah.
But like the ones that aren't super obvious.
Yeah, the little ones. Like, I'm pretty sure like there's so many like little software companies and stuff. Like AMD sponsor someone. I think like I don't think.
Oh,
Intel
some of them
do.
are even just like
Java. I'm pretty sure.
Some of them are even just like absolute garbage sponsors, not even like real companies.
Wasn't Red Bull sponsored by Crypto.com as well? Like, and stuff
Oh,
like that?
loads of them have had crypto sponsors. Yeah,
Yeah.
has had that sponsor that wasn't even real.
What, did they just do it to fill a space?
No, they were a real company. They basically got scammed.
But they paid them the money, right?
Not all of it.
Oh. That's unfortunate.
And then the guy criticised them on Twitter.
Yikes.
Like, because the car was slow. He was like, you guys suck.
Oh, I bet Gunther wasn't happy about that.
No, probably not.
Made them look like fucking wankers.
It's probably because Gunther it was an energy drink, so Gunther probably wasn't drinking it.
No.
That's why they pulled out.
Gunther,
K-Mag didn't drink enough of it.
Gunther doesn't need an energy drink. He's got all the energy.
Exactly. So anyway, you were telling me about your project.
Oh, yeah.
That when you scale
was
it
I?
to become big enough to sponsor an F1 team.
Yeah. Totally.
You're saying about you're moving out and you've got too much bandwidth. You're gonna have to start charging your family to stream their own content.
Oh yeah, that's how we got onto that tangent. I was trying to where did this start? So basically, I need to build. Well, I want to build a server to be an off-site backup anyway. And it'll also be a mirror instance of my jellyfin here, so it'll have all the same content, but it'll be running locally. So,
how are you going to handle the like pushes and pulls to that? Is that not going to use the same amount of bandwidth? Because every time you add something new, you're going to have to mirror it.
Only once, though.
That's true. Yeah, you're not streaming it, and
Yeah.
you can control when that happens. So you can do that like when you're not using.
I'll do it. Like I'll probably just set up a sync.
Do like a 3 a.m.
happens, like ridiculous o'clock in the morning. When realistically, no one's going to be using it. But yeah, so basically, I want to do this on the cheap, and so
of course, on the jank.
Yeah. So, but I've got a couple of solutions. Because in the short term, right? When I first move out, I'm just gonna not have that in place.
Get them to miss it so that when you introduce the paid tiers, they're gonna want it back.
So I've got a limited amount of funds, and what I also need to do as a more of a priority, I feel like, over building this second server, is I need to expand my storage for my Blu-ray rips, and like it's not exactly. So it's not exact. It wouldn't be completely devastating if the drives I use failed.
Yeah.
Because like I still have I've still got all the physical media, but it would be annoying because I'd have to rip it and transcode it all again.
Which would be a ball. Yeah.
Which is like a long and tedious process. It's not. It's a lot of like sitting around and waiting for things to happen.
It's frustrating as well because it's not just like do it and then you like forget it. You have to like constantly changing discs, right? Starting the process going again.
Yeah, and then
it's not just something you can leave running overnight for like 10
and then
days.
some discs have like a load of fake tracks and stuff on them that make it like even using Make MKV sometimes like or like I had one. So an example, I bought Wall-E on Blu-ray, the 2008 Pixar. Movie, which I absolutely love, one of my favourite movies.
Yeah, great
ever.
film.
And I thought I'd ripped the right version. It had like 10 versions of the film on it, and I narrowed it down to 4 that were possibly the right one because all the others only had stereo tracks and only 4 of them had Dolby Atmos and DTS and all that. So I ripped those 4, and then I went through, and one of them was larger than all the other files, and I just but it wasn't. But the run times were all the same. So I just thought, oh, okay, maybe I don't know, maybe it's just a slightly higher quality or something. I just assumed I'll go with that one. I checked beginning and end, make sure that it's got the whole thing, which it did. Got rid of the and then transcoded it just with the English audio, subtitles, etc. And then I watched it, and I noticed on the computer screens, instead of saying welcome, it said "Velkommen," and a load of the text is because it's an animated film. They changed all the text for various languages on screen. So even though it had the English audio track, it didn't have the English text on the screen. I was like, bollocks!
That's Michael Eisner personally did that.
Sorry?
Michael Eisner from Disney
Yeah,
personally
he did.
insisted that they do that.
Did he?
Well, of course. He probably did. He probably
True
did.
fact. True fact.
Yeah, true fact.
You heard it here
That's all
first.
yeah, you heard
I wasn't
it
sure
here
if
first.
you were bullshitting me there or not.
No, of course not. No, Michael Eisner allegedly.
Kieran only ever spits truth.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you had some that were a complete nightmare. You want to back them up.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be the end of the world, but so I'm considering, because it's a hell of a lot cheaper buying secondhand storage, and I figure like, okay, well I'll buy I don't know, like a few secondhand like 8 terabyte Iron Wolf or like Seagate Iron Wolf NAS drives or Western Digital Red or whatever. Whatever I can get cheapest secondhand, and I'll just put them in RAID basically, so I have some redundancy.
Yeah.
However, my long-term goal is to migrate over to using TrueNAS Core, as I discussed last week, instead of Windows. But my main obstacle to moving to TrueNAS Core is the fact that you cannot use the Backblaze subscription that gives you unlimited backup, because that only
because of TrueNAS.
that's only applicable to desktop operating systems, not servers. If you do servers, you have to use the B2B storage, which you are charged by the gigabyte.
Yeah.
Which I cannot afford.
Yeah, like most cloud storage. Yeah.
Yeah. So, in order to switch over to TrueNAS Core for that, I need to have an offsite backup set up of my own, basically. So, so there's a couple of options. Basically, if I'm going to expand my storage in the short term by buying secondhand discs, hard disks, I want to have that running on ZFS, the file system, rather than using Windows. I don't want to use RAID in Windows, because then I will have to copy all the data off those disks onto another set of disks in order to have them in TrueNAS Core. So I'll have to have another set of hard drives, if that makes sense, when I do transition over to TrueNAS Core, copy all the stuff over to those, and then reformat those drives to ZFS, and then copy the data back onto them.
Oh my god, what a
because
that's
it's a different
painful.
file system.
Yeah.
I can't just adopt them, because it would be in NTFS because of being in Windows.
Yep.
So, what I'm thinking of doing is installing Proxmox as a hypervisor on my server. Yeah. And then running TrueNAS Core in a VM. And also running Windows in a VM, and using Windows as my NAS operating system, which is jank, but literally just so I can run Backblaze, and then using TrueNAS Core so that I can use ZFS for redundancy on my Jellyfin instance.
Oh my god.
But in order to do that, I need to check whether my motherboard supports IO-MMU, which it might not. Which basically allows you to pass through physical devices to a VM. So I could pass through a storage controller, basically, so that the TrueNAS VM can physically access the drives that are attached to that storage controller. The other option is that I run TrueNAS Core in a VirtualBox VM within Windows, and then just put a virtual disk on each hard drive and then run them in RAID that way, which is kind of jank and would still mean that I'd need to copy all the data off those disks and then back onto the disks when I do transition to running TrueNAS Core bare metal.
That is like that's a lot of jank there, dude. That's like
Kieran, help. What do I do?
That feels like it might be maybe okay. So here's a thought. Tell me if it doesn't work like this. But you know, you need a big part of this, right? Is that you need Backblaze, and it'll only run on Windows.
Yeah.
Does Backblaze both push and pull, like automatically? So, like, if you upload a file to your Backblaze, can you pull it down to 2 different locations?
No. So literally, Backblaze is just, at least what the service I'm using is just a backup.
Just a backup.
The
So if
only,
you were to, like,
the only way that you can pull data off is you download the data off it manually as a zip file. You can go through and download specific files, or you can download the entire backup. But, yeah, it's not a cloud storage like OneDrive or Google Drive or whatever.
So here's an idea, which is also janky. But, like, would it be feasible to have a second server that you leave at home,
right,
and then is just used locally, and then I don't know if it's supported on the tier that you've got, but then make some kind of API call to Backblaze if they have one to periodically refresh the data?
What do you mean?
And then, as in, like, so you have 2 servers, right? Both syncing to the same Backblaze, or both synced with the same Backblaze.
You can't do that.
You can only have 1 device per Backblaze.
Yeah, well, it's not designed for it. Like I say, it doesn't operate like OneDrive. It's literally purely a backup, so you can't sync files between devices with it.
So no. I'm thinking it's more like you upload the file from your device, and then periodically you restore from backup.
No, it definitely wouldn't let you do that. You'd definitely run into an overzealous amount of calls to download stuff. And when you do download stuff, the bandwidth is very throttled. It's like it's like 100% optimized for upload, basically.
Right. So it's like, okay, you can't just like have something that's like, okay, that makes more sense as to why it's cheaper as well, because it's like not designed for you to be pulling stuff in a different location. Okay, so that wouldn't work. But is there a way that you could, like, just have the starting point be the same, and then is there an easier way for you to push the files just occasionally, still sync them to the one that you're going to leave at your house, not through Backblaze?
Well, no, that's not the problem. The problem is, like, the biggest problem is, well, like, I've got a limited amount of money to spend. So do I just bin off having the thing at home for now and go with the jank solution to have more storage in the short term, or do I go full hog and build a second server?
Right, so you want to avoid the cost of building the second server. I think that having the first one and then trying to stream that data to them, or give like remote access so they can stream the data, is going to be a nightmare. And I think you're gonna just get endless.
I mean, basically, how I would have to do it, because my parents' router doesn't support VPN connections running on the router. So what I'd have to do, I've got a couple of old computers, so I could just run Tailscale client and allow set it so it can be used as an exit node. That basically means that other devices other than that laptop on the network can access the VPN stuff on the VPN connection, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I think if you can do it, you'd be better off like having 2 separate server instances and just let theirs get out of sync in terms of the files that are on it, and then just occasionally.
Yeah. I mean, that would be what I would do but basically it is my jank solution with Proxmox, etc. If that works, or having virtual disks stored on physical disks just so I can use DFS RAID worth it for the expense that I would save of having the second server?
If it was me, I'd just use one of those old computers if they do it as a second server.
The problem I've got with that is the old computers are laptops, so they've only got 2 SATA ports on them each, and also obviously both of them are mobile SATA, so I'd have to find some way of having a power supply for using desktop drives with those.
Could you not just use external drives?
I could, but they're much slower, so it's not really ideal for if you're streaming.
Yeah, I get what you're
bit
saying.
rate,
It might be too slow for
stuff.
Blu-ray.
Yeah.
If it was me, I'd just occasionally, I'd try and set one up on the cheap at one of the places, probably at home, and then just like occasionally go whenever I'm going home, take like a portable hard drive with the new updates and just like push it on that way.
Well, the cheapness of it will not affect the ability to sync it over the internet. That bit won't be a problem.
It's more the complexity. You don't need to deal with like remote connections between the two.
Ah, but that's a piece of piss. I'll just use Tailscale.
Okay,
Honestly,
so you're not fussed about
Tailscale
that.
is so fucking easy to use. It's ridiculous. You don't even have to think about it. I already use it so I can remote onto stuff from my phone when I'm out and about. Honestly, it's so simple to set up and use. It's like unreal.
Yeah, I guess like you could. Yeah, I mean that.
Okay. So I think you're erring on the side of build a cheap as chips second server, basically, with secondhand drives but with redundancy, so that
Oh, I'd go no redundancy on those.
even
The backup's your main one.
yeah, well, I it would be serving the backup as well. So the backup, I think I'm going to go secondhand drives for my backup, which I know sounds ridiculous in a way, but it's kind of like if they're in RAID and stuff, it's like and it is a backup.
I would have the second one, the one that you're going to leave at home or whatever, be the backup with the second-hand drives in it, but don't back them up as well.
Oh no! Yeah. I wouldn't be back. They would be the back. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You wouldn't have like 2 lots of.
Yeah. So
you wouldn't have that
basically,
running.
the server that I'm leaving at my parents would replace Backblaze.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh, you're replacing Backblaze as well.
Yeah, that's the like the entire like.
Oh,
yeah,
dang.
Because I want to move over to using a real server operating system instead of Windows. I want to move over to be using ZFS and, being I want to be a real server.
Does Backblaze run on any Linux distro at all on the tier that you've got?
No.
Oh.
You have the only Linux support. If you've got a Linux OS, there isn't a client for using the desktop backup. So you can back up using third-party clients, but only to the B2B storage. So you run into the same problem.
Okay. They got wise to that. 'Cause I was
yeah.
gonna say, could you not use like Ubuntu, and then if they had like a Linux client, and then I don't know, run a virtual machine on top of that?
Yeah. No, I've tried everything, because I even thought, I was trying to find a way of tricking Backblaze into thinking that a network drive was a physically attached drive
Oh, and they knew.
to back it up, and I've not been able to find a way to do it. Because every time you look on a forum page, there's loads of people for other reasons asking if you could trick or make
trick Backblaze.
No, make Windows think that the network drive is a physically attached drive.
Yeah.
And basically every single forum post that I've found so far is like, why the fuck would you want to do that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, obviously to jank my way through something, like I feel like that should be like a given at this point.
Yeah,
if
it's
you're
not
trying
obvious.
if
Clearly
you're trying
to try
to do
and
something like that,
circumvent
like
the
why would you want to make Windows think something is something else with
Clearly to get around.
yeah, obviously it's something jank. Like I feel like you shouldn't even have to ask that question.
Yeah, exactly.
But like so I found the only way I could find it, you can in Windows there's a command you can use in command prompt or PowerShell that basically maps a network drive to a folder. But
Yes.
Backblaze didn't seem to back that folder up.
It knew.
Basically, yeah, it knew. And I kind of because what I was hoping I could do is I could basically have a Windows VM running on the server, and mount the network share as a folder and then just back it up that way.
Yeah, I was going to say, could you do something with like a virtual machine? But no, Backblaze, they're going to know what they're doing, aren't they? There's a reason why they do it, like for Windows only.
I feel like there must be a way around it.
Oh,
but it's probably so jank and technical that it's probably just not even worth it.
I'm sure there is like some
There's
kind of...
got to be.
Yeah.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if you figured out a way to get around Backblaze's restrictions. For research purposes only, of course. Educational purposes only.
But that's the thing, though. Like, I feel like I'm not necessarily... I don't feel like it's exploiting Backblaze to do that, because it's not like I'm at... It's still... I feel like their pricing, to a degree, is kind of unfair. Because, like, if you're a home NASA, like... It's like the pricing for an off-site backup is unattainable to most people, like individuals. Like it's priced for businesses. Like most people don't have enough money to be able to afford.
I think the problem is like if they let you do it. If they let you do it, like how would they avoid a business then using the same tier?
Well, how does Microsoft stop businesses using the cheaper home Office 365?
But that's close enough in price.
Like they, to a degree, how does anyone stop anyone?
I think
doing anything?
Okay. So that's, to me, I think the Microsoft one's close enough in price, and also their business customers, like that's designed to dissuade, are such massive companies that they all have like an enterprise contract with Microsoft anyway.
Yeah.
But like, how would you like Backblaze? I feel like because it's such like data storage is so ubiquitous. And like, they probably are.
To be fair, it's I guess
it would like shut
to
down
a degree.
their
What I
platform.
did, I do acknowledge that what I just said is completely like completely like out of touch with reality, because the reality is the fact that Backblaze offers unlimited backup to computers is actually ridiculous. Like,
yeah,
if you actually took full advantage of that, it would be it would bankrupt them.
Yeah, it would like shut down the service.
Storage is so expensive.
So yeah, like especially like redundant network storage.
Yeah, like there's no way, like, yeah, like the fact that they offer, like, I mean, it's gone up a little bit due to inflation and also the value of the pound tanking compared to the dollar, but it's basically about £10 a month.
The fact that they also haven't been,
and
like,
I'm currently backing up like 6 terabytes.
Yeah, that's
for
crazy.
for £10 a month. That is like
if you were to
ridiculously
spec that
cheap.
out on anyone, like Google Cloud, AWS,
Yeah.
even like a OneDrive account.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I think you're getting a good deal there. However, I've got an alternative for you.
Go on.
An alternative that doesn't even involve Backblaze.
Yeah, go on. I dread to ask, but okay.
What you could do is you could use the power of Wi-Fi calling.
Right.
To phone. So someone at the house wants to watch a film.
Yeah.
What you do is using Wi-Fi calling, you phone them up, and then you watch the film that they want to see, and then you describe it to them.
Oh, that's not where I thought you were going. I thought you were going to say you could switch back to the old analog modulation and just send it over a modern digital phone system.
Oh my god! And then they just like save it to the answering machine tape.
Yeah, and then demodulate
Convert that back to a digital file.
Yeah. Go back to the days that we bring back the modem, but send it over 5G.
Yeah. But I understand you might have a problem with that, because I think you had a bit of a rant about Wi-Fi calling not being everywhere.
Yes. So, well, okay. Well, it's not even that. It's Wi-Fi calling, in my opinion, is a completely broken standard. In fact, I'm not even sure it is actually a standard, and I think that might be the problem. I've done zero research into this. This is purely me wanting to air my frustration. So, currently, I am with a mobile carrier in the UK that supports Wi-Fi calling. I have a phone that also supports Wi-Fi calling. However, my carrier does not support my phone for Wi-Fi calling, so I can't use Wi-Fi calling.
Weird. Is that because you bought the phone?
No.
you're like a
It's because my model is not supported by my carrier for Wi-Fi calling.
But how?
It just isn't. If you look at any carrier and they have they'll have a list of phones that they support for Wi-Fi calling. So even if your phone supports Wi-Fi calling, the carrier that you're with has to support that specific phone for Wi-Fi calling. Otherwise, you can't use it.
But why? That's crazy.
I know it is, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
Is there a reason?
I'm sure there is. Yeah.
Like, but how is they ended up? So there's a standard.
I'm not sure that there is. I think that there might not actually. The only reason I can think that would be is that every single carrier has their own slightly different implementation of Wi-Fi calling.
And then none of them work together, so then nobody can use it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So like pretty universally, like it's pretty much like most of the smaller carriers, they'll have Wi-Fi calling, but it'll only be supported on iPhones, and probably like the flagship Samsung phones and maybe a handful of the A series or something. Or
I'm surprised that iPhones have it. To be honest, they don't have like iCall or iPhone. Well, they are.
They do. It's called FaceTime audio.
Oh right, yeah, that's their Wi-Fi calling.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, why do they even bother? Why do they even bother with the other standard?
Because other phones that like don't.
Well, since when do they give a crap about that?
Yeah, but legitimately, like landlines and stuff, or making calls to businesses and things like that.
Yeah,
you can't do over FaceTime audio.
So what do businesses do then? Is there like a standard that they have for like if you have?
Well,
like,
that's the other problem.
Business phones.
That's the other problem. Wi-Fi calling also, even if you do have if the stars align so that you do actually have access to it, it's so unreliable. Like it's actually shit. In my experience, like
I'm kind of with you on that. It's like
half the time, actually, like if you have Wi-Fi calling enabled, it will default over to Wi-Fi, even if that's a worse experience than if you were just using the phone signal.
Which is crazy when you think of like how compressed like the phone. Yeah. So I've got a bit of a hot take here. I think that like VoIP desk phones, you know, like the ones that replace like the old analog desk phones. You like pick up the handset and you hold it to your ear and you press buttons to dial, physical buttons. I think they're a pile of crap. I think that most people end up with a worse, even though they've got more features, I think they fail at doing the core features as well as the old analog phones.
Okay.
And as a result, I think that people who are used to the old analog phones and then switch over to like a VoIP phone, even if it's like the same hardware and stuff, I feel like the software's clunky and the features are faffy to use such that most people prefer the old way.
Yeah, that's probably fair.
It's like transferring a call. It's like more. It's like slower because it's like I don't know. It just feels slower.
I don't know. I liked my soft phone at my previous job.
They were okay, but it's like
I never used my handset. I only had one because I worked in IT, so I had to have one so that I knew how to use it.
I feel like for people that are used to the handset, they're unlikely to benefit from the features. I'm not going to say they're unlikely to use them because that's just like, oh, okay, if they were really that good, people would. I think they're unlikely to have any benefit from some of the features.
But having, even if they just use the handset, it's like they can use it. They get the same functionality of the old analog line, but you don't have to have a separate network infrastructure to handle the phone to the.
That is the awkward part, is that you need the infrastructure to. And you're not going to be able to keep that running, realistically, right? Like that's dying. But like I don't know. I just think like for a phone, it's a bit like
VoIP is so much cheaper than an analog system.
Yeah, that as well. That is the cost is the big thing, right? That's why you switch for it. But thinking from like a user's perspective, like I don't know if it's just me with like I've got a similar feeling about cars with tech in them. When it gets too extensive,
I think it depends what provider you go through.
Is there one that's just like though I don't know. When you think of like the features of a phone, it's like you want to pick it up and then like dial the number and then it just goes through. It's like that, like just simple.
You
And
can
I
do
feel
that.
like,
You can do that on VoIP phones.
but I feel like
you
I
don't
don't know, I
have
feel
to
like,
use all the additional features.
but I feel like the connection dropped and it's cut out, or like connection's slow and now I'm lagging.
I've not experienced that problem.
I don't know.
Maybe your internet's just shit.
I don't even have like a Wi-Fi phone to be fair of any kind. But I don't know. I could be just it's too hot of a.
Well,
take.
that was, yeah. I don't understand why Wi-Fi calling can't be better.
Yeah, that's the thing. It doesn't feel like it feels like okay. Now we got the same thing.
I feel like it can't be that hard. We've had calling over the internet for forever. Like,
Yeah.
VoIP is like one of the oldest standards. Like, there's so many free services that do calls over the internet. How is Wi-Fi calling so broken?
Yeah. I think the apps that they have as well for a lot of the providers aren't particularly good. Like for if you don't have the physical hardware, and you're just running it off of like a computer or a laptop or something. I feel like so many of them just.
Are we talking about VoIP now?
VoIP again, yeah.
Yeah.
But like just so many of the apps just aren't good.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But going
They're
back
just,
to
like,
Wi-Fi,
clunky.
go back
Yeah,
to
sorry,
Wi-Fi calling.
Yeah, the actual topic. Sorry, I was ranting about VoIP.
Wi-Fi calling. Like,
Yes.
why in a world where VoIP exists, why isn't there a better? Why didn't 5G introduce a solution to the problem that is Wi-Fi calling? It should be possible if you have a connection to the internet. You should be able to then dial in. You should be able to connect to the phone network. There should be a link that just works. It shouldn't there shouldn't be any only certain phones support it, only certain carriers support it. It should just be baked into the 5G mobile network standard. If your phone supports 5G, when it's connected to Wi-Fi, it uses its carrier, its IMEI number and its the ID for the SIM card, and it can authenticate on whatever it I don't know, like calls into whatever it needs to do to authenticate the network, but it just sends the transmission over the internet and then to the mobile phone network.
It's not even a cost thing, right? Because like who's ever nowadays in the last like I don't know, I want to say in the last like 15 years, who's ever even thought about how many minutes they've got? So it's not like it's.
I mean, I think I'm pretty sure I've got unlimited minutes. I think most
right?
people
like,
do, don't they?
Yeah, like I can't remember the last time I didn't have. I had to think about how many minutes I had left.
Yeah.
And it's like, what's crazy to me is that if I was to now, this second, switch my PC over to being hotspotted to my phone, the audio quality would be identical to this off of my mobile network. So, like, why do we still have, like, the super compressed, when you, like, dial a phone number?
Well, you don't. If you've got a good signal and the mast that you are currently connected to, and the mast that the person you're calling is currently connected to are not busy, then you'll get HD voice.
Oh, okay. Am I getting mixed up with the fact that hold music's bad, but then that's because they compress it so that it works on all of the.
That's to do with just I think that
it's a
the old like copper network is actually worse quality than I mean, to a degree it's quite complicated, but HD voice is actually quite good quality and you can tell the difference when you get it, but you don't get it because it uses more bandwidth. If the mast is busy, then you won't get HD voice.
Yeah. Whereas with Wi-Fi calling, you get it presumably all the time.
Well, you'd think, but you don't.
What the hell? Why not?
But you should. Yeah, this is what I'm saying. It's such a fucking broken standard. Why is it? It's particularly frustrating for me because, like, most of the time it doesn't matter. But like, I live in an area where no matter what provider you are on, the phone signal is awful. Just universally awful. You cannot get a decent mobile phone signal inside where I live. Like, no, I've gone through all the major carriers and like you just can't. So
Yeah, just is
if
what
I
it
want
is.
to make a phone call, because who the fuck has a landline these days, I have to go to the end of my drive, or if the weather's kind of shitty, I have to walk up my street. Sometimes, for those services that force you to use texts for 2FA, I have to sign in on my computer, and then I have to walk up my street to get the 2FA passcode, and then come back so I can type it in and hope that it hasn't expired by the time I get
Yeah,
back to my computer.
some of them are on like an 8-minute.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Why?
Like,
Why is
it
this not better? It's such an essential part of everyday life these days. It's so frustrating. And like, yeah, for personal calls, I can use WhatsApp because pretty much everyone I know has WhatsApp, so I can do that over Wi-Fi. But if I need to like call the doctors or the bank or like any handful of other, like, if you can't call them on WhatsApp, so I like. And I'm going to be sat on hold, and I have to just stand at the end of my driveway on fucking hold for half an hour.
I feel like the bigger problem as well is that like it's when you're waiting on a call.
Yeah.
Because like if you need to make a call, you can.
Oh
do
yeah,
that.
exactly. Like I had a telephone
call's
interview
coming.
over a few years ago, and I literally had to go to know that I was going to have a decent signal. I had to go for a walk half an hour from my house up a hill to make sure I'd have a decent signal for in the half an hour or so window when they were supposed to be calling me for this interview.
Or imagine it's like, you know, when you have like a thing with the doctors and they say, "Oh, we'll call you tomorrow," but they don't give you
Yeah.
a time.
Yeah, they give that it's within a 3-hour window. It's like, right,
If
great.
that, or
Yeah.
it's like, "We'll call you sometime
Yeah.
tomorrow."
Like, basically, that means I have to leave my phone on the windowsill at the front of my house all
And
day.
hope.
And hope that I hear it when it rings.
Or that it doesn't lose signal in that spot
Yeah.
at some point.
Just
when
like,
they
I
call.
don't... Basically, in summary, I don't know why, but Wi-Fi calling is shit and I don't understand. It shouldn't... why is it so shit in 2024? It shouldn't be.
Please tell us in the comments.
It should
But
just
you
be
know
a
what?
given.
You know what is available over Wi-Fi?
A shitty navigation app.
Exactly that.
So this is. I'll keep this short and sweet because we're coming up on an hour here, and Kieran's got an exciting day trip tomorrow, so we don't want to keep him.
I'll maybe tell you about it next time.
Yeah. So basically, I just wanted to have a quick rant. So I recently obtained my HGV license here in the UK, and
Kind of a big deal.
kind of a big deal, you know.
You know, don't-
big fuck off trucks, you know. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it. Anyway, so I've been basically. You can't really use I mean, you can use Google Maps for navigating, obviously, but obviously there's certain roads that you can't drive trucks down depending on their weight and size, etc. So I've been on the hunt for a suitable navigation solution. You can buy sat navs, but they're like the cheapest ones are like 300 quid, and they're kind of shit. And so if you want a decent one, you're looking for 500 quid and blah 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 blah. So I was looking for like, there must be a phone app that you can get, and I found a free one called Road Lords, and I used it for the first time this week to do a probably about 2.5 hour round trip to deliver a vehicle to a customer and collect another one, and it is fucking awful. Like,
I mean, the name's the fact it's called Road Lords.
yeah, it's
Like, as in
so
edgelords,
bad. Like basically, so okay. Here's the two main problems with it. Number one, it has a thing that's supposed to tell you which lane you need to be in to take the appropriate exit off a roundabout, off a motorway, etc.
Oh,
It is pretty much always incorrect.
that's a big deal. Like, that's
Including a point when it told me to go into a lane that it would be illegal for me to go into in the vehicle that I had programmed it into being, as I like, which I obviously I didn't go into because I was paying attention. But like, what's the point in having a dedicated truck sat nav app if it tells you to do something that you're not allowed to? The whole point is so that it doesn't navigate you down a place that you're not allowed to go.
I think the worst part with that is that, like, if you're in a car and it puts you in the wrong lane on, like, a roundabout, for example, like, if it's not super busy, you can generally, like,
Yeah.
get around it. It's not a big deal. But if you're in, like, a big truck,
Yeah, it's not
you
as
kind of
easy.
have to commit
Yeah,
Right,
it's
like,
not
you
as
can't
easy.
just-
Like, yeah,
you can't change lane midway.
Yeah,
It's
basically.
unlikely you'll be able to.
Yeah, so it's you basically just had. Basically, what I ended up having to do is I had to use split screen, and I had Road Lords up on the top and Google Maps on the bottom, just so Road Lords would give me the overall route, so that I wouldn't it wouldn't be routing me on roads that had like weight limits and stuff, but Google Maps to give me actual accurate directions. And the other thing that really annoyed me is, so on Google Maps it tells you you're exiting, say, this roundabout to follow this road, and this is the signage that you need to follow.
Yeah, it'll say
Whether
like follow the sign for this.
Road Lords doesn't tell you which road you're going to be following until you're on it.
You go with the lore.
It just tells you what it thinks the signage will be, but every single time it wasn't what the signage was.
Would it be like you're going
Like to the point where
M1?
it did send me the wrong way, because it told the voice and the piece of text at the top gave me a road name to follow. So I followed the lane for that, and then it says exit the roundabout onto insert road here, which was nowhere in the instructions before. And then I went the wrong way. It's like,
Oh, I thought you were gonna say it's like telling you to join the motorway, but then it gives it some like
No, so-
archaic road name.
so example,
Join the
it was
northbound
like leave the or on the roundabout, use the lane for, say, A400, and then as you're getting towards the exit it wants you to take, it's like follow the M71. I'm just making up roads here, but the M71 was a different lane that you needed to be in for. But because it didn't tell me M71, obviously that lane said M71 and A400. But I was in the leftmost lane, which is the good practice when you're in any vehicle, because the only information it told me was follow the lane for A400. But that wasn't the road that I needed to take. The road I needed to take was the M71, and it knew that, and it doesn't say that until it's like exit the roundabout onto M71. Like, what the fuck? Like,
It reminds me of having
how
someone
is
in the
this
car.
so bad?
It reminds me of having someone in the car, and you're like,
Yeah, someone who doesn't drive
or no,
navigating you.
as in like someone back in the day before sat navs, and you'd be like, oh hey, where do I go left? And it's like, oh, you want to go left just there, like right as you're going past the opportunity to turn.
Yeah,
So yeah, back there. Actually, that was the one.
yeah.
Or you're like, okay, do I go left or right here? And they're like,
I get
well,
that
you're
with
like,
my brother though all the time, because he doesn't drive. Like he'll have Google Maps up on his phone or something, and he'll be like, oh yeah, you need to turn. Oh, it's not this one. I think it's the next one. It's the next one. Turn now. Why did you go past it? It's like, because I would have cut someone up, Timothy.
Or it's like you're coming up to a roundabout, and it's like, oh yeah, you want to go. Oh, hang on a sec. You want to go. You're still like, okay, which lane?
Because,
do you wanna be? Do you wanna
because
be-
basically, if I braked when you told me I needed to turn there, the car behind me would have rear-ended me, because I would have had to have
Yeah.
done an emergency stop in order to slow
It's like,
down
oh,
in time.
you want to go? Oh, hang on a sec. Let me just zoom in. And you're like on the roundabout at this point. Like, oh yeah, you want to go left, and you're like already in the middle lane and like
Yeah.
going straight across.
It's like, oh, fucking hell.
Here's my question on that. What do people? Because this is an old problem.
Well, I was
So like, what did people use back in the day? Were there special like trucker road maps?
Yeah.
Like paper ones.
Yeah, so you could get A to Z maps that had the weight limits, etc. on them as
Do
well.
they still make those?
Yeah.
Could you get one of those and then just like do your own route planning?
Yes, but I'm not going to do that, because that would be just... Right, it'd be... For the job I do, it'd be very impractical.
Well, I was thinking like you put it into.
Because I don't really know the routes I'm going to be taking in advance.
Well, I'm thinking like you put the route into Google Maps and then you just check the route that it's giving you against the paper map.
But then what if I get diverted and traffic diversions and blah, 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 and then
Yeah, the diversions. But then what did people do back in the day if they got diverted?
pulled over?
I guess like.
But
is that
sat
pre-
navs do exist, so I feel like it's just not really.
Yeah, I know what you
anymore.
mean. They are massively superior.
Yeah. It's
It's a shame there's not.
so I mean,
not a setting.
there are other apps that I can try, but they're paid for. Or
Yeah.
I might just. I mean, everyone else where I work just has a sat nav, so I might just have to bite the bullet and buy a sat nav. You can get some pretty nice, like feature-rich, like really big screened sat navs that get free updates on the maps for life and stuff.
That's pretty cool.
So
It's a shame there's not like a crowdsourced, like, I don't know. It's the thing, how would you do it? Because Google Maps doesn't have like plugins, right? It's not like you can just like go, oh, I want to have Google Maps and download this free plugin that says all the routes are for X class vehicles only.
yeah, I'm not sure I trust a crowdsourced thing for
Yeah,
for,
you can take it down like a 6 foot height limit bridge.
for something so safety critical. I don't think I trust.
Yeah, there's a reason that companies collate this data, and that there was no.
Like, I'm all for open source, but I'm not sure I'd want, like, for example, I don't think I'd want an open source piece of software controlling a robot doing heart surgery on me.
I was going to say
for
that.
example. I'm not, if someone had just accidentally committed the wrong bit of code or something.
But I mean, Linux machines run pretty mission critical stuff.
Yeah, but they're probably not on live patching, right?
No, but like.
But then I guess you could. Yeah, no, you're right. Okay, what I just said was incredibly stupid. Please disregard it.
Because there's also well, no, because I was thinking it too, and then I was like, well, wait, actually, and are a lot of the encryption algorithms open sourced as well? I could be wrong about that. Don't look.
Yeah,
that up.
they're unhackable.
Yeah, it can't be hacked. No, but like, isn't AES? Is that open source? I could be wrong. That might not be open source. Don't look that up.
Hey Siri, is AES an open standard?
As if
Okay,
Siri's gonna
I
answer.
found this on the web for is AES an open standard. Check it out.
Well, Siri is fucking useless as
I knew that
always.
Siri wouldn't be able to answer
It
that.
just-
Is Siri open source? Absolutely not.
No, Siri is proprietary.
Yeah,
that's why
AES
it's
is
so
open source.
shit.
Yeah, AES is open source.
Hang on,
Yeah, confirmed.
I'm just demonstrating how useless Siri is by having to manually read this Wikipedia article to find it.
Yeah. So AES is open source.
No, Kieran, Siri hasn't answered yet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we're still waiting on Siri.
It's undetermined. Like, Siri's the only way we can find out. I can't be asked.
Could you not just have Siri running and be like, hey Siri, is this road okay for a class 2 HGV?
Here's what I found on the web for. Yeah. Oh my god. It's just as good as like that's another rant that I have about, talking of driving. I don't know if you have this, but you know how Google Maps has the assistant Google Assistant built in.
Every time I've tried to use it, it's ended in disaster, and I've been more distracted than I've ever been.
And when it does work, so pretty much the only time I ever use it is for if I need to make a phone call while I'm driving. I tell it to call the person, and when it does, on the rare occasion where it does actually manage to figure out how to do that incredibly simple task, the thing that really fucking annoys me is the vast majority, not every time, but the vast majority of the time, it will close the Google Maps app and open the phone app.
Yeah, and then it's like sat in the background.
Why?
Like,
Why does it do that? Why?
Allegedly, I've never been a more distracted driver than I just pulled out of out of where I live, and I was heading out onto a main road, dual carriageway, and I was like probably about a mile away from the dual carriageway. I knew it was coming up, and I was like, oh crap, I really need to add this to like as a reminder to myself for when I reach my destination.
Yeah.
So I tried to do. I was like, oh, I'll do the voice command thing. That can do like it's all I'm doing is trying to open Google Calendar and tell it to remind me of something in like an hour. And I've never been more distracted than I honestly like. I was like, I'm amazed that I haven't had an accident.
Yeah,
in the last 2 minutes.
It's so useless, isn't it? It's just
most
honestly, frustrating thing.
Honestly, I would have been less distracted had I taken the phone out of its dock, had it in my hand, and been like opening the app, like glancing down at it every couple of seconds. Not that I did, but like I would have been less distracted doing that.
Yeah, it's so fucking annoying, isn't it? It's like I just don't understand. I don't understand how it's so bad.
Yeah, it's like take it out. It's
it's like we've had like voice transcription is pretty down at this point. So how the fuck does it manage to bumble it? Like it will literally on the screen a lot of the time it will say exactly what I've said, and then it will be like, I'm sorry, I can't find Kieran mobile, and it's like, but it's literally right there. And then like and then you'll do the exact same command like 2 minutes later, and then it'll work.
I think my problem with it was that I tried to set this reminder, and it like interpreted my voice again similarly, like perfectly, and it just errored out.
Yeah.
But and I was like, what the hell's going? Like, why is it errored? It's got the command. It's like this would work with the assistant, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, the best thing is like it will error out, but then it will leave the assistant overlay over the top of your map, so you then have to reach over and touch your phone to clear that off, so you can see your navigation again.
Yeah, I'd have been better off texting while driving.
Yeah, it's like it's just so bad. Like,
don't ever do that, by the way.
How it even does it on Android Auto. Like it does the same thing on Android Auto. It opens up the phone thing. Like not even in the side view. Like it just like I don't need to see that. I can hang up the call using the button on my steering wheel. I don't need the phone thing to be up.
Calls work in the background.
Yeah, like why does it cover the navigation?
Yeah, that was the one time I used it, and I'm like, I'm never doing this ever again. It's going to cause an accident.
And also, while I'm at it, on my phone for some reason, when it does close the Google Maps app, you know how it does that little floating window? I
hate that.
For some reason, the bit that you interact with is bugged, so it's about a centimetre further down the screen than the actual window itself. So when you're tapping the button to go back into full screen, it does nothing, and you have to kind of try and figure out where half a centimetre is below that to actually... I
already hate that.
How is it so broken?
It's a shame because it's such a good app, but like, I want to... Okay,
Google
let me...
have so much money and so many users.
And it's so good. It's so good.
How are these simple things so broken?
I want to know if
also,
anyone...
why is the landscape view on Google Maps so inferior to the portrait view?
Oh, it's bad, yeah. No one uses the landscape
Well, I
view.
do, because my phone holder only supports landscape. And that means I don't have any of the media controls at the bottom of the screen. Why can't it just put them at the side of the screen?
Yeah, the landscape view is bad. I also want to know
Why?
if anyone in the comments has ever used that tiny view that it minimizes to.
Yeah, it's so pointless. I'd rather it actually show nothing on the screen because it just gets in the way.
Well, it's like you try and minimize the app because you want to like interact with a different app, and then it's this tiny view, and then it gets in the way of the app you're trying to interact with. So like for my YouTube, for example, if I stop at the services, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna now minimize Google Maps. I'm gonna pause my YouTube, and it's like it'll minimize down and it'll get in the way of me being able to pause the video.
Yeah.
Who's that for? Who's that tiny view? Who's using that tiny view?
Mice.
Who can read that? You're like driving and you're gonna look at that. What are you?
Hang on, let me just get my telescope out so I can just look at the navigation.
And also, what is it that you need to view on the other 3/4 of the screen? While you're driving, like, I want my maps tiny. I want a minuscule postage stamp size map, and then I want the most of my screen filled with my Netflix.
Yeah.
Like, anyway.
Yeah, honestly, my jank solution is to use split view and have like Spotify or whatever app open in split view, so tiny that you can't really use it, but then literally just tap on the search and then use the voice feature on the keyboard, because that's actually less distracting than using Google to do it. Not that I really do that very often at all. Like usually that would be like literally if I'm in standstill traffic and I want to put something on, then I'll do that. But it's like, it's just like, oh my god, how is it?
Thankfully,
how is it 2024 and Wi-Fi calling, voice assistants, and truck sat nav apps are so useless? Also, find me a free way to back up to the, or a cheap way to back up to the cloud from TrueNAS. Thank you very much. This has been a public service announcement sponsored by Ethan Slater and Totally Don't Steal Your Data VPN. If you browse the internet without Totally Don't Steal Your Data VPN, you might as well be exposing your genitals in public.
I mean, you literally are exposing your genitals in public if you don't use a VPN. And if you want a distraction while you're driving, listen to this podcast.
Yeah, listen to this podcast, and we will also be we'll be launching Scramble Assistant next week, and it will be guaranteed to cause an accident. So you don't
100%.
have to worry about whether you might crash whilst using it, because you just definitely will. So it
Yeah,
removes all the doubt.
If you're in a truck, don't worry, we got you covered. We'll give you false information. You'll be knocking over low bridges in no time.
Yeah.
And if you want this great service for the low price of absolutely nothing, you can find us on
Pocket Casts, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Audible, because I still can't be asked to remove us off there.
That's it, right? And Deezer.
Deezer, probably some other repost RCS.
And the Fediverse.
RSS.
Still.
Yeah. I was meant. Yeah. On the Fediverse, probably, maybe. Who knows? Yeah. Cool. Anything you want to add to that, Kieran?
No, we'll see you every other Monday, and we look forward to joining you on your next car accident.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I've been Ethan.
I've been Kieran.
See you later. Bye bye.
Bye bye.